Well, good morning, folks. It's time for my Monday morning rant. I was reading on the internet an article about the state of the auto industry and speed and going fast and that kind of stuff, and it got me really thinking. And I want to talk to you guys about it because I think it's kind of an important conversation, and it's something a lot of us are going to want to have a conversation about, I think. So let me get some coffee in me, and we'll talk about it. Oh, iced coffee. Especially on a nice cool day. So here's the thinking. You've all heard this phrase before. Better a slow car fast than a fast car slow. And I get the adage. I actually truly do agree with it. For the most part, it's more enjoyable to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow. A slow car you can enjoy. You can get on the throttle and you can go through the gears. You can enjoy the sensations of it, getting up to speed and probably not even breaking the speed limit on the interstate. Where a fast car, a real fast car now in today's world, if you stay in the throttle for like 10 seconds, you went from zero to felony in a hurry. And there's a lot of things that also kind of come along with that you probably don't really think about, but this article made me kind of really realize. So the article specifically called out 300 horsepower Civics, 400 horsepower minivans, and 600 horsepower SUVs. And this is something that we have in our modern world, which is, if you told me this 20 years ago, absolutely crazy. Those Civics back in 2003, 2004 made 130, 140, 160, 180 horsepower, and now they're easily making 300. Minivans can outrun Mustangs from 15 years ago. SUVs that weigh 6,000 pounds have more power than muscle cars of any era in a gigantic 6,000 pound beast. And the thing that this article most wanted to focus on, and I truly do agree with it, is because of the power wars, because of this modern horsepower wars that we're in, are we the victims of our own success, creating all of this power in these vehicles, and having to add nannies and babysitters and little electronic doodads and things to be able to keep us safe? Because it needs to make the worst among us safe while they're driving these vehicles. It's not the enthusiast that these things are built for the most part. It's not the enthusiast that these gimmicks and these add-ons and these safety measures are built for. It's for the average person. You and I, now listen, you and I know we're fantastic drivers, right? We don't need any of that fancy schmancy traction control and stability control and throttle assist and any of that stuff. We don't need any of that. We're professionals. But the average person that gets into a vehicle is probably going to need it. And I agree with that. That's a thing. The problem is, a lot of these modern cars, it's baked into the pie. It's there. You can't get rid of it. The traction control, the stability control, all of the others, the lane assist, the adaptive cruise control, do you want to drive with your hands off the wheel while you're playing on your phone? You can't get rid of it. It's baked into the vehicle, and it's baked into the price. And I'm thinking, tell me if I'm wrong here, a big portion of the reason we have seen so many of these vehicles get to the point where they are ridiculously expensive and not viable for most people anymore is because so much of this stuff has been pushed so far, so much power, so much speed, that we have these nannies, these things built into these vehicles that most of us don't want, but we cannot get rid of. If you remember, and probably don't, well, maybe some of you do, when you used to buy a car, you would get options. You would check a box or uncheck a box on what you wanted. Do you want power steering, power windows, power brakes, AM, FM radio, bucket seats or bench seats, disc brakes, anti-lock brakes, stability control? There were a lot of things that were optional. Back in the 70s, we built cars that were not, late 70s, we're not really capable of doing much of anything as far as speed goes, with a very few exceptions. And there wasn't really much of anything out there. There wasn't really anything in the world of technology to save us from speed because we weren't going fast. And then the 80s kind of was similar. Cars were still really simple, very, very low tech. There was nothing real exciting about them, and they weren't going fast. And then the late 80s happened, early 90s happened, and things started to change. We started being able to go faster. With the real onset of the turbo revolution in the automotive industry, we saw these little crappy cars that used to be little crappy slow cars go faster. And it became a situation where we needed to start adding some safety to keep the dumbest among us safe. So things like analog brakes came in, and traction control, and that kind of stuff became more of a standardized thing. It became more of a thing. As we got through the 90s and early 2000s, that continued to speed up. We continued to see the turbocharged thing, and we got a lot more of those nannies starting to click in, and we started to get computers involved in the driving process. And then you get all the way fast forward to now, and we have everything you could possibly imagine in a world's worst nightmare for automotive people with throttle control by wire. When you put your foot down, you're no longer directed to the engine. You're talking to a computer and saying, Mr. Computer, I would really love to have full throttle right now. And the computer is going to look at the situation and say, well, driver, not right now. It's not the time. Give me just 15 milliseconds, and then I'll give you full throttle. Or I'm going to give you most of the throttle, and then I'll roll it into you. And that's how that works. That's how all that stuff works nowadays, because it has to keep us safe from 1,000 horsepower ZR1 Corvettes. Or, 700 horsepower Hellcats that are everywhere. The modern driver, not us, but the modern driver is so busy playing on their phones or filming videos on YouTube while driving that they can't really be bothered with driving. And the rest of us kind of pay the price for it, to be honest with you. Because we have to protect the dumbest among us, it's penalizing all of us, all the rest of us. True enthusiasts. And I don't know that there's a fix for this. And it makes me kind of sad. I think we're suffering from too much success here. And that may be a phrase to you that sounds a little bit weird, but because we have pushed the boundary so far and so fast, and vehicles are so powerful, with all of this stuff, we have to load them up with technology that takes away a lot of the driving experience. The thing that most of us enjoy most about cars is driving. We enjoy the experience of driving. I want to go out and push my car around the track. I want to go down and push my car down the strip. I want to go out and enjoy my vehicle on a back road somewhere where there's nobody out there. I want to enjoy that car. And if I screw up, that's on me. That's my problem. Humans learn best from negative reinforcement. It's just how we are. You learn best when you burn your fingers on the stove. You're not going to do that again, are you? When your parents tell you that, you may or may not. But when you burn yourself, you're not going to do it. Similar with driving. When you're driving something and you're driving beyond the cusp of what your capabilities are, and you slide it off the road into a ditch or into a tree or a light pole, I hope you don't die, but you probably learned a lesson. You're probably going to change your driving habits. Or maybe you're going to learn how to be a better driver. Just saying, every single day I see people running into each other in a straight line because they're distracted driving. They're just driving smash right into each other. Every single day. It's like an ongoing thing on my Facebook page. But I feel like we're getting to that point where cars are so fast and so loaded with technology that we're losing a lot of the sensations of driving. The things that most of us as enthusiasts truly enjoy the most. And that's really, really depressing because I don't see us going the other direction. I don't see us going back. Unless some manufacturers decide to build kind of stripped down, simple, economical vehicles. And the thing is, I don't need it to make 700 horsepower. I don't. A 350 wheel horsepower car that weighs 3,500 pounds is a freaking blast. Build that and give me, traction control's fine, ABS is fine, but that's it. That's all I need. I don't need anything else. Sorry, I'm trying to battle the sun. It's coming up this morning, and it's a little hard to do this. But I wanted to sit outside on my porch and have my rant and have my coffee. But I feel like we're on the latter end of this, and there's no returning back to normalcy. There's no returning back to the fun of the old days. Now, there are bespoke companies out there that do build vehicles. I'm gonna... Whoops. Oh, there went my coffee. Whoops. Dang it. Let's try to be all cute. That's what you get when you're a fat guy trying to be cute on the porch. There are bespoke companies that will build basically track cars for you with a modern drivetrain in it. So, for instance, Fields Auto Works. They build the Cardinal and the Toyota Coupe. Both fantastic vehicles. They're hand built here in Ohio, and they are basically like no frills driver's cars. It's got some sort of a motor in the rear in the Toyota. It's got a 2.3 EcoBoost motor from Ford in the front. They're not unbelievably overpowerful, but they're sensational vehicles. They give you all of the sensations of driving. There's no driver assists. You have to do the driving. And that's what most of us, enthusiast-wise, want. That's what we desire. But it's up to somebody like a Fields to be able to fill that niche, because the average auto manufacturer just isn't going to do it anymore. And I gotta say, it's kind of a crazy situation of, I think we're the victim of our own success. I think because of the fact that we've all demanded more and more horsepower, we've demanded more and more power out of absolutely everything, regardless of whether or not we need it or we're ever going to use it. Because let's be honest, most people that buy those cars never drive them at the edge or at 10/10. Never. But I feel like because we've demanded it, and we've demanded it, and the manufacturers have gotten to the point where they, power, more power, more power, more power. I feel like because of that, we are where we are now. And maybe it's our fault, because we kept on asking for more and more power that most of us can't handle. And that's where we are today. We've got vehicles where we can't turn off traction control. Or if to do it, you've got to go through some crazy 16-button dance. You can't turn off a lot of the things that most of us don't want to use. We've got further and further down the road of us no longer driving our own vehicles. We're just purely a passenger in the driver's seat. And that's really depressing. So I'm sorry about that. I didn't really want to depress you this morning, but I was feeling particularly old guy and grumpy. And I wanted to have a coffee and rant. So, thanks for being here for it. This is Automotive Adventures with Austin, my own little personal corner of the YouTube internets. I do rants every now and then, automotive content. If you're interested in this kind of thing, click on the subscribe button. It'd be great to have you. I will be getting back to more of my own projects. I'm actually currently waiting on a phone call, hopefully from Uncle Terry at Jegs, and I've got some parts, and I'll run up to Bob, we'll drop stuff off, and we'll get some stuff done. Maybe move a couple things forward before Christmas. I don't know. What do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? It's at least a conversation. Thanks for being here, guys. Love you. Take care. Bye-bye.